Committee on Air Force, Committee on Police, Committee on National Security. These are committees that set out to achieve what the Constitution said we should achieve. Over the last 2 years, and you recall, Mr. President, too, when we were screening the service chiefs, here we raised a question. One of the questions that was raised to the Chief of Air Staff was, Chief of Air Staff, where is our Tucano? Where is our Tucano aircraft? Fighter jets. And you also recall, this Tucano was purchased by no less than $1 billion borrowed. And the answer given to the Parliament by the Chief of Air Staff was, Tucano is in our domain, but we can no longer use Tucano because they have signed a contract which limited the operations of this Tucano. If you know ab initio that this Tucano has limitations, inhibition for usage, why in the first instance did you buy them? How much did you buy them? Who ordered the contract? Who did the procurement? Where are the Tucanos physically? Mr. President, we cannot. We're having a divided chat.
Mr. Senator, you are protected.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, this issue of security is troubling. And day in, day out, we are losing our servicemen to this insurgent. Day in, day out, all across this country. It is not one state or the other, it is almost all the 36 states of the Federation. And I'm not going to stand up and claim that the president is doing his best. The only time that we can say the president is doing his best is when we interrogate the implementation of the 2023 appropriation, the implementation of the 2024 appropriation as it pertains to security. You recall, Mr. President, the National Security Advisor was invited last year, and he came forward and told us point blank that not enough appropriation was released to the security apparatus. We are here in the very comfortable confines of Abuja, but I can tell you in a very short time, I'm not a pessimist, in a very short time, if care is not taken, these bandits that are running towns and villages in Benue, in Zamfara, in Sokoto, in Kebbi, are gradually moving into the close neighborhood of this city. Today, Mr. President, I can confirm to you authoritatively that you can no longer go to Kwali, go to Kubwa, and these suburbs beyond 9 to 10 o'clock in the evening because of fear of being taken away. And therefore, consequently, it is important, Mr. President, to acknowledge if we continue to keep on doing things without result and keep on doing them, we are not only deceiving ourselves, we are deceiving the people that sent us here to represent them. I am not sure whether the solutions has to do with creating a summit. First, Mr. President, we must be able to interrogate our committees in a session whether executive to come forward and inform us what goes into their budget 2023, 2024, 2025, and what comes out into the implementation of the budget. Secondly, I do not think it will be fair to the security chiefs, if we just go ahead and do a security summit, we must interrogate them one by one, subjecting them to the findings of the appropriate standing committees. Committees are created to serve as liaison to the Senate. As a committee, you don't need to have an information and you sit on it. Sitting on it will not give you any desired effect. Once you have security reports and the security architecture of this country, you could visibly see they are getting overwhelmed. Lastly, Mr. President, in the course of the interrogation, let's find how many number of military personnel do you have? How many are in the Air Force? How many are in the Navy? How many are in the Army? How many are in the police? How many are in the Office of National Security Officer? How many are in the NIA? And so on and so forth. We can't sit down and begin to believe that when we speak big grammar, it will solve the problem. It is much, much more than that. And Mr. President, like I said, during the speech, your speech on the second session of the 10th Senate, the second session of the 10th Senate, this is a matter that you must lead. This is a matter that you must personally lead. It is not just enough to assign these responsibilities to committee chairman, because I don't like to assume that this committee chairman failed. But I would like to believe we have not called these committees to action, interrogate them, to be able to find out what are they actually doing. And not only all this security committee, every committee, it is the responsibility of the leadership, of course, under the leadership of this Senate leader, to interrogate committees. What do we do? What are we doing? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And then the chamber will also contribute. I believe speaking in this manner, in plenary like this, is not going to bring any solution. And I believe the points raised by Senator Yumo, they're apt, they're germane. But I believe Security Summit is not the solution. It's much, much, much more than that. We need to do our homework. We need to bring data. We need to go to see the president with bad data. Lastly, sir, it makes people a lot of wonder about so many things going under the leadership of the security support. I'm not questioning their integrity, but I believe the servicemen are not getting their due protection, their due appreciation. They are not getting their due. They are not being paid back. And you see, in the last 20 months, we have lost almost 520 service chiefs, all servicemen, all across our armed forces. For how long can we continue to lose them? And the thousands of people, thousands of Nigerians that have been kidnapped on a daily basis. It is no longer any issue. People come to house and they'll just kidnap you. And when you pay, they release you. And nothing has ever happened because the security servicemen are incapacitated. They are handicapped. Finally, last week on my way out of Lagos, I met someone who told me there is a possible invasion of Mahmudawa, a security outfit, all the way from Mauritania, and they are getting into Kwara and Oyo, and they are beginning to settle down there. Today, sir, the entire suburbs of this city called FCT is surrounded by illegal miners. And you remember what put Zamfara at the core terrorist streaking area is mining. The entire gap between Abuja and Lokoja has been taken over by illegal mining. And they do it openly, clearly openly, and nobody questions them. And people are busy buying plots between here and Kuje and Lokoja, just because we were told there are mineral deposits there, and therefore the business has opened. And when you open that kind of business, make no doubt about that, the entire populace of this city is at risk. I shall submit, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, if you notice
do we want to really be true to ourselves? And do we really want to be true to our calling here as senators? And the reason why I ask that is very simple, Mr. President. I have been here for a very long time. And for each session I've been here, we have had security summits. Each session. In fact, the last one, we were part of setting it up, and then we did everything. At the end of the day, nothing came out of it. So, there is no one of us here who does not know what is going on in his area. Do we want to be true and fair and say the truth about what is happening in this country? If we want to be true to ourselves, then we can go ahead with a summit. Then we can deal with this matter. But if we're just going to stand up here to now make statements so that people will see us on television, then I want to profound, Mr. President, that we will just end up doing exactly what we have been doing, make statements, and nothing will come out of it. I so submit.
summit or a security retreat. It is, and then Senator Ningi has raised a vital issue, which is, are we interrogating the chairman of our various security committees in the Senate? Chairman of Defense, Chairman of Navy, Chairman of Army, Chairman of National Security, Chairman of Air Force, and all. Are we even interrogating them? That is the question. And that the Senate leader ought to periodically compile the workings of the various committees and report back to the Senate. But that has not been done because he is probably yet to have a meeting with all the Senate committee chairmen. And then he should be able to get written reports from them and communicate them to us. We don't need to discuss it in plenary. We can do so in closed session. So, but the question we need to answer now is that in view of the escalating insecurity in the country, which sometimes may be politically motivated, sometimes may be as a result of movement of farmers or headers here and there, and sometimes maybe as a result of terrorism and intentional acts of sabotage of the government or a direct attack on Nigerians from our enemies, from foreign countries. You know, so should we convene a 2-day or a 3-day security retreat where we will sit down, invite major stakeholders, including the traditional institutions, including people who are experts in other fields, then including even the state governors and practitioners in the security sector, so that we can compile something and come out with a communique that will help Nigeria moving forward. Senator Baribe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Where is Mr. President? You don't see well. He called me.
I'll come to the minority leader. Minority leader, there is something about these ancestors of the Senate. Senator Baribe is one of them. So when they stand up to talk,
thank you, Mr. President.
We must listen.
My name is Engineer Baribe, and I...
Senator Zam, what is your opinion? I'm coming.
Your Excellency, the Senate President.
Mr. President, there is nothing we have not discussed here in this Senate, particularly the 8th Senate and the 9th Senate, where we had security summit. In fact, if I could recall vividly, we had 3 security summits in this Senate, and we made very financial recommendations to the executive branch. And those recommendations, unfortunately, were not implemented. Mr. President, what we need is not security summit. We need to discuss with the service chiefs here in this chamber, one by one. We engage them into serious discussions. We tell them the emerging development, particularly the Lakurawa that is invading northwestern part of Nigeria, and also they are invading north central part of Nigeria. Just of recent, there is a new development, a new security threat, a new armed group called Bamuda. They are invading Niger and Kwara State, and very soon they'll reach Oyo State. So, Mr. President, we need to discuss with the service chiefs. There is nothing we have not discussed at the security summit. If they come, let them tell us the strategies they are using to overcome these security threats. I don't believe that having security summit is the answer. Else, what we did in the past, what happened? All the recommendations are there and they are not implemented. So I'm of the opinion that we should call the Inspector General of Police, we should call the National Security Advisor, we should call the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Air Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of Defense Staff, and we sit with them here and discuss thoroughly. And we hear from them the solutions they'll come up with. And Mr. President, we shouldn't even talk about, taking only kinetic measures. There are non-kinetic measures that need to be taken on the part of the federal government and the state government. Virtually everything is now loaded on the federal government. When it comes to non-kinetic measures, state governments have a responsibility. Local government have a responsibility. It is by so doing that we will be able to overcome the security challenges in this country. I thought I meant, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, this issue has been exhaustively on the Security Summit to the federal government for implementation. Those in support that the Senate should be in the forefront of convoking a national security summit with a view to discussing the entirety of the security situation in the country, profiling solutions, and at the same time rejigging the security architecture to enable us save the lives and properties of our citizens and give them hope and an opportunity to bring their inputs. Say aye. Aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. So the Senate leader.
Dr. Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central. Let me comment.
Question of going to file an application in court, expert, to demand for election materials, file another application to serve the respondents, and waste a lot of time. In Kenya, the materials are automatically made available. You don't need an application. You can serve electronically, even by WhatsApp. So the question of going to look for the respondent, we cannot enter the villa or the governor's lodge, we're not going to apply to serve by substituted means, a paid advertisement and the rest. No. Africa has moved beyond that. In Kenya, the election petitions shall be filed 7 days after the election. Because basically electronic. So what are you looking for? You are looking for witnesses, you have to travel around, you risk their lives and the rest. No. Basically documentary. Supreme Court is the only forum that decides presidential election petitions in the majority of African states. In Kenya and in most countries, it's 14 days. They will hear it and determine within 14 days. So we must find out what is going on around us so that we are not in our oasis of ignorance and believing that, we are the leading African nation. In many areas, we are at the back. And so, if we are going to have good elections, we must sensitize our people. And brother, please, MC, it's not about election alone. If the people are not interested in your voting, they won't go, they won't vote. And that's why people don't vote. Yeah. When we're young, when you were after the Second Republic. And this is important. You could predict what the UPN and PRP will vote for and what MPP and MPN and GMPP will vote for. But today, all the people in the National Assembly vote the same way. There is no ideological difference. So it's not enough to say people should go and vote. What are they voting for? The masses will ask you. As far as this ramshackle constitution is concerned, all political parties shall adopt Chapter 2 of the Constitution. Access to health, access to education, welfare and security of the people. The government shall take care of even the disabled people, children, pensioners, and so on and so forth. They are all in Chapter 2. But the ruling class has put a clause in the Constitution that if you breach these provisions, you cannot go to court. So those are things that should be part of your campaign. It's not enough to say, go and vote. What am I voting for? If I'm going to vote to renew the oppression, my oppression, so why do I need to go and vote? But in those days, it is that I want my children to go to school. A party that will give them free education, I will fight and vote for it. A party that will provide full employment. A party that will not tax the poor. And a party that will not allow illegal arrest and detention of citizens. So we must begin to make demand, accompanying the campaign for voting with demands for the dividends of democracy. It's not enough to vote. What am I voting for? If my conditions will not improve, in my own part of the world, they say, oh God, if you will not improve my condition, leave me as you met me. So if we are going to campaign and you want people to vote, you must also encourage them to ask questions from those who are in power. Now, on your paper, it's not enough to go and submit your proposal to the National Assembly. They will just dump it. And I'm going to suggest to each of us here, and all our friends and family members, we must now begin to interrogate our legislators. You have the right, because they are going to come around to say, come and vote for us. You have the right to write to them. They have money, they have marked money for constituency meetings, which are never held. Because again, we don't demand for those meetings. So we can, part of your campaign, identify. If I ask you now, most of us don't know our senators. We don't know our House of Rep members. We don't even know our legislators in the state houses of assembly. So we must begin to ask. Because the National Assembly that will amend the Electoral Act. So we have the right to call them to meetings. Can we discuss our proposals with you? And I can assure you, because of what they themselves have gone through, they are also willing to improve on the current frustrations with our elections. The court has said, the Supreme Court has said, that transmission of election results, electronic registration and the rest of them, beavers and whatever, are optional for INEC. In other words, it is not compulsory as far as the law is concerned to transmit results. That is where we will now have to say, please amend the Electoral Act to make it compulsory for all of us to monitor and visualize the results that are uploaded and sent to the central server of INEC. If you do that, why does anybody go on? We need to go and file election petitions. Because you already know the result, even before the announcement. And that is why in many countries of the world today, losers congratulate the winners, even before the official announcement. Ghana has just had an election, presidential election in December. 2 former presidents, President Jonathan and President Obasanjo, were there at the inauguration. President Tinubu were there, and about 10 governors. When they came back, there has been no debate of what they saw. And pressmen have not asked them, now you were in Ghana. What happened? There is no election petition against the presidential election. All the losers congratulated the winner. In Accra here, 40 minutes flight. So why is our own so difficult to conduct credible elections? So my suggestion, if we sit down and we begin to host seminars all over the country, we may be wasting our time. Because many of the people you are speaking to are deaf. But we have the right. You have your budget 2025 Appropriation Act. You voted money for constituency meetings and consultation. Please, we're inviting you. Let the senator or the House of Rep member say, I won't come to your meeting. He knows you may be able to campaign against his or her re-election. So we need to move out and engage our representatives in the National Assembly and state houses of assembly. Because the constitutional amendment regarding election will go around the entire country. So we also need to engage members of the state houses of assembly. I also want to suggest there are many bodies that are promoting transparent elections. You must link up with them. One of your suggestions here will not fly. This business of international community, we are deceivers. Who are the members of the international community? Led by the United States of America today. You know what is going on in America? As if a debate that the president may do a third term, they go for a third term. So what is that? Which America? No. Disobeying court orders, the government in power, imposing tariffs all over the world without going through parliament, through Congress. So please, don't deceive yourself about international. We are going to solve our own problems by ourselves so that we can be respected. And just like we are referring to Ghana, if we organize our country, let other countries refer to our example that we want to emulate Nigeria. Not that because this is the largest concentration of black people in the world. What we are doing is a shame. I was in Ghana in 2004, I think. We had an election. Or 2000. After the Agor, Florida manipulation in America. And you know, at that time, we were saying too close to court. And in Ghana, It was like, no, this is not Florida. We are going to conduct good elections in Accra, we in Ghana. Ghana has had over 30 years of uninterrupted election. Now, still on the international community, I was in Accra and delivered a paper in Accra yesterday. So that you know where we are. We're in trouble. The President Dualo Nsalo of Guinea-Bissau dissolved Parliament in December 2023. It's single-handedly. He has refused to conduct parliamentary election. His own term of office as president expired in February this year. He's still in office as a sole administrator. Majority of the presidents in West Africa now, are you listening to me? Yes. Are removing term limits in their constitution. That's one of the countries, Togo. Since 1963 that country became independent, only two people, a father and son, have ruled the country. Eyadema's son had just removed term limit from the constitution. His father ruled from 1963 to 2005. He has been ruling since 2005. So he has now removed term limit. The man in Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, is going for 4th term. The man in the Gambia, Adama Barrow, is going for 3rd term. And so on and so forth. 4 of the countries are under military dictatorship. Forget the propaganda that is going on about Burkina Faso. Mali, the president of Mali, president of Burkina Faso, the president of Niger are planning to stay in office for 9, 8, and 7 years respectively. Those have not been elected. Are you with me? So that's the international dictatorship. He too wants to contest election. It's how we can rise from here to make contacts with similar bodies and political parties. Political parties are not for elections alone. They are only for elections in Nigeria. No! A political party representing the interests of the people must challenge the government in power on a daily basis. There is darkness in our country. They say we are going to have band A, band B, band this, band that. What has happened today? In the midst of the darkness, the Minister of Power has just announced that we are going to increase electricity tariff very soon. And Nigerians have accepted suffering. So we expect parties to come out, to join issues with the government. This was not your promise. Why are you not removing hardship from the country? Why are you imposing more hardship on our people? There are 20 million Nigerian children on the street, out of school. The second highest in the world. Today, we have the largest number of children that are not immunized. Today, we have the largest number of children that are suffering from kwashiorkor. I can go on and on and on. So in the midst of that, you can't talk of election alone. We must find out there is an agency, Universal Basic Education in Abuja here. Those of you in Abuja must go there. How many states have refused to come here to access the matching grant to put our children in school? Because you can't have a nation of ignorance. Ignorant people, and you're talking of election. Children in China, even in Rwanda, are learning from they're using computer in the primary school. Do you understand me? So, please, let us match the demands for dividends of democracy with our demand for transparent and credible elections. Let us mobilize our people through their representatives to amend the Electoral Act and the Constitution to guarantee this country credible elections. Unite, collaborate with other organizations and the human rights community and political parties that are interested in electoral reform so that we can speak with one voice. We should be powerful and have impact on the members of the ruling class. I thank you very much.
Until that Asaba Convention. So when you said it could not solve, a Labour Party problem, the problem was already there before Obi came in. It was Obi that has even brought Labour to where it is. The unity you are seeing in the Labour Party today now is because of the Obi presence there. So you cannot judge Obi by Labour Party's issue, his ability to, to govern this country or somewhere else. Obi has track records.
As a matter of fact, even Akpabio was also challenging Obi's track record.
I'm going there because he said, oh, if you talk about infrastructure, and he dualized road and did hospital and all of that. And the same Akpabio who claimed that he did that. Don't forget that Akpabio immediately he left governance. He came to the Senate. And he was being hunt with EFCC. The next thing we had, they ran to APC. Remember that the Shomole has said that, come to APC, all your sins are forgiven. And all those cases, nobody had about that today. So Akpabio should keep quiet where Obi is. Obi had track record both in the private sectors and even in the public, in the governance, where he has shown himself, proven and tested and trust in Anambra State for 8 years. With all the crisis, with all the turbulence, he surmounted them all and he gave out good governance. So whether Labour Party had crisis today or not, it is not Obi. It's not for people to judge Obi with Labour Party crisis. And besides, Obi must not, as a matter of fact, remain in Labour Party to be a president of this country.
Certainly not. But no, there are cases where people were probably not there when the problem started, but we hold them responsible for not solving the problem. For example, Asiwaju wasn't the one that started insecurity problems in Nigeria. Issues of bad governance, corruption has started before Asiwaju became the president of Nigeria. But just 2 years into his tenure, we're already holding him responsible for not solving problem or not showing direction because he's a leader. So do you think anybody can successfully, detach Obi? Because just before election, Obi has this command and control. Like he said, he unified Labour. Even Apapa case that was having issue with Apapa, kind of stepped aside. And after the election, when Labour went into the market, showed their strength. Almost everybody in Labour could listen to Obi when he says, "Come here." Why didn't he use that?
Just before you come, sorry, 1 minute,
No, I'll come to you shortly.
That means please. I need to say this. Asiwaju made promises to Nigeria.
I'm coming.
That's what I was going to. Obi never made promises to Labour Party.
I'm coming. No problem.
Actually, that's what I was going to. I should campaign to us that he will resolve this crisis, this security crisis. Obi never campaigned that he could not resolve any Labour issues. Asiwaju have everything that it takes to resolve it, but he is the commander-in-chief. Obi is a party member of Labour Party. I'm holding brief for him. I felt that he should have done more to resolve the issues. But remember, when he was in ABGA, he never interfered with the party.
Well, we're talking about Labour Party crisis.
That is him. Let's look at him when he was in ABGA.
You see, we are not trying to see what he has done. We wanted to know what he should have done in this case.
He should have imitated more. But the party
there's something they said, a stitch in time saves nine.
Other parties, I think he might not be chairman of the party, but as a governor, you're a leader of the party in that state. But does that apply in ABGA? That you contested under ABGA? Does that give you the leadership of ABGA?
Are you talking about ABGA or Labour Party?
Sorry, Labour Party.
That's why I asked you to forget about ABGA.
That's what we should look at. Their constitution. Is he the leader of the party? But in their constitution, the leader of the party is the chairman. there is limit to what he can do. But I felt that he should have done more. He should have tried to call the warring parties together. Probably he did. It didn't hit his call. But this analogy from Akpabio doesn't hold water. The same Akpabio that is saying this now. Let me say more about Akpabio. There was killing in Kogi State, in Benue State, in Plateau State. There were burials. He didn't attend. He went to attend the Pope's burial. Is that hypocrisy? Or those that were buried, they are alive. I don't know what it is. So we choose to be selective in our criticism. What has it said? What has Obi said that to bring this? That the labels of our hero past, they are now almost in vain. The label for us to live in unity. The label for us to have a country that is free of insurgency and militancy. What are we seeing today? The label for us to live a life that is above ordinary.
Okay, Philip, you know, issues of Obi eventually taking sides with Nenadi. Do you think it has helped? Or let's say before them, people were still saying he was a little bit neutral and himself was, you know, trying. Now, I'm coming. If this statement against Obi's not being able to organize labor was made by another person who is not Akpabio, who doesn't have those baggages, do you think you should have held Obi responsible in some
That's
form?
the question you asked me. That's where I'm going to. But I just wanted to put that record straight. Now, coming to Obi taking side with Nanadi, when he was supposed to be, as it were, a neutral person, is a sad thing. But don't forget, we're all human. We have our weaknesses. Nanadi has been a staunch supporter of the obedient movement, which is the Obi supporter, bloc. Nanadi had this push that Obi will be a better president. This life is easy to say. I'm not saying that the side it took has really become, of the negative, because we are saying that they should go to a round table and resolve their issue. He would have been the best person to call for that meeting. But because he has taken a side, so it becomes difficult. So who will not call for this meeting? Which was supposed to be his role. But again, we are human beings. We have our weaknesses. The truth is that the person that always go for you when it's in the time for the person is in need, you are most likely to go for the person.
Come here.
You understand?
Yes, come here. Be very quick.
He said Obi takes with Nanadi, but it's quite funny. Why do I say it's funny? Everybody that took side with Nanadi, except Nanadi herself, has been suspended. Why didn't they suspend Obi?
No, they gave reasons. You see, when two people,
I want to know why.
Yeah, certainly. When two people are presented before the judge, and one case tried and finished, another case tried and still trials continue, it could be that two of them do not have the same weight. And politically, they also wanted to play a game, no matter how you look at it, and that's politics. You know, I've always told you, when a musician plays musician, you don't get him arrested. And when politicians play politics, you hardly get them arrested. But you want to talk to the people. Obi has this charisma that people are looking up to him. Like we said, these people came late. But we expected them to have started that if Obi cannot put a Labour together, how can he put Nigeria together? They are going to use it against him. And he has to find a way out, like Philip in particular is presenting. But do you think if someone else who is not Sowore, who is not Okpebholo, because Okpebholo also threw his jab, who is not Akpabio, had said this thing, that Obi should have either maintained neutrality to be able to bring this party together, particularly when he realized that these two parties did not agree to the judgment. Their interpretations did not agree. When you have two people, no matter who you think is right or wrong, once two people who are supposed to agree on a thing misread it or misunderstand it or do not comprehend it in the same way, there must be a meeting point. And people have said that meeting point should have been Obi. Do you think he blew that chance?
As I've said earlier, I said that I felt he should have done more. I said it earlier, if you guys are listening. I feel Obi could have done more. He could have tried to call the warring parties together and resolve it. But we've gone past that. Okpebholo's attack on Obi.
We are yet to go past that because the factions, just the other day, Abure suspended Kingibe, suspended OT, suspended Nkwocha, and Nenadi gave an ultimatum to Abure, pushing towards suspension. And Abure is saying categorically that Nenadi is still not a member of Labour Party.
Well, she has shown that she's a member. She's shown her card.
No, she didn't. She said she didn't come with that. Do you see her show the card? She said she didn't come. That she said she's a card carrying member, but she didn't come with the card. And that's why people are actually asking, and I'm one of those. Possibly letting just snap. It's not certificate. It's not a health record. So it's not a secret document. It's not even certificate. So just scan it. Send it across the internet. Let all Nigerians see it. So let people also see the national chairman that signed the card. They check the serial number. The national chairman's signature is almost in all the cards, all membership cards.
I don't know. Sorry. When I say gone past that, what I was trying to say is that as it stands now, Obi might not be able to resolve the problem. It needs a neutral person to mediate to get labor issues resolved. But for Obi to mediate, I think there's a doubt now. There's a mistrust. So the Abure camp might feel that they might not get justice on this.
Okay, if Labour Party is left unresolved, what paint does he put in Obi's skin?
To my mind, he put nothing to be in a person, because the truth is that Labour Party was never in existence without Obi. So Obi will live with his supporters and Labour Party will go back to where it is. Like I said before, it does not in any way show Obi incapability or capability to manage Nigeria. Labour Party is not a criteria to assess what Obi could do.
And essentially, the structure of Labour Party is actually different from the structure of Nigeria.
Of course.
They don't even have resources they are spending. Like the wastages that is happening in many places that Nigerians are worried about, that's not the problem of a Labour Party. I think we'll probably take...
And members of Board of Trustees, President, faculty, students of the American University of Nigeria, my dear wife, Mrs. Amina Abubakar, the representative of His Royal Highness the Lamido of Adamawa, Donlawal Adamawa, and other representatives present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with immense pride and profound gratitude that I stand before you today on this special occasion of Founders Day to celebrate not only my birthday, but more importantly, milestone in our journey, the 20th anniversary of the American University of Nigeria. This annual event, the Founders Day, has always served as a time for reflection, progress review, and a celebration of the vision that sparked the inception of these esteemed institutions. Over the years, we have listened to a number of keynote speakers, and I believe the university should be able to have a compendium of those speeches because they will guide the future of this institution. As we gather here today, I am reminded of the significance of this day. It serves as a philosophical beam that guides the trajectory of our university in both short and long term. It is a moment to recognize the dedication and commitment of everyone who has contributed to this extraordinary journey, a journey that began 2 decades ago with a dream that has since blossomed into a vibrant educational hub, encompassing 7 schools and offering 30 diverse degree programs. Over the years, we have witnessed a transformation that is not just physical in nature, but also deeply impactful in the lives we have touched, human lives. Each achievement we celebrate today reflects the extraordinary talent, unwavering determination, and passion of our remarkable faculty, diligent staff, inspired students, and supportive board of trustees. Together, we have created a haven for education, culture, community, natural and critical thinkers, and compassionate leaders poised to shape the future of our society and country. Therefore, on this special occasion, I would like to take a moment to honor the visionary leadership of our late pioneer, chairman of the AUN board, Alhaji Ahmed Joda. Alhaji Joda was not just a leader, he was a beacon of wisdom and integrity who played a crucial role in leading the board of this institution. His unwavering commitment to education and development in Nigeria was instrumental in shaping the foundations of AUN. We carry his legacy with us as we continue to pave the path he placed on us. Our deep gratitude goes to Mr. Joda for his exceptional contributions and indelible mark he left on this university. Additionally, I want to express our profound gratitude to the American University of Washington, D.C. in general, but more specifically to a co-visionary of this university, my friend and associate, late Professor Robert Pastor, who provided in partnership with his colleague, Emeritus Dean of Louis Goodman of the School of International Affairs, American University, all the intellectual foundation for setting up this university. Both of these eminent personalities have given the AUN board more than their best, and we remain grateful to them. While we have immortalized the names of some of these amazing individuals, the AUN still owes a debt of specific recognition that commemorates the contribution of all the foundational members of the university's board. Notwithstanding this, however, let me take this opportunity of AUN's 20th anniversary to convey our gratitude to all the previous members of the Board of Trustees who have served AUN over the last 20 years. Their dedication, foresight, and steadfast leadership have guided this university through periods of challenges and triumphs. Each of them has played a vital role in nurturing AUN from its infancy to the thriving institution it is today. Their collective insights, brilliant governance, and unwavering support have been pivotal in our growth and success. As we celebrate our past, however, we must also recognize that our journey is far from complete. For the American University of Nigeria, this 20th anniversary is truly just the beginning. The seeds we planted in 2004 do not have a used by date. They carry no expiry date. Universities are not static entities. They endure and continuously reinvent themselves, adapting to the ever-evolving needs and challenges of society. Let me now begin to say, how can we endure in the future? How can we ensure that AUN remains
attempt to prefer solutions? I will rather want to encourage us that since we know the solutions, we should be sincere and begin to pick those solutions. And it is those solutions, the real solutions to the problems of Nigeria, because we do have problems, that is going to move Nigeria forward, that is going to make Nigeria the great country that it ought to be, and that will genuinely make us the one people that we say we desire to be. We desire to be one people. Different languages, different culture, very beautiful. But how then do we have a situation where some people are very angry, some people are very upset, some people don't care how others feel? And so, if knowing our father, Chief E.K. Clark, and our late father, Pa Adebanjo, his dear friend, knowing what they believed in, and what their other friends across the bridge also believed in, and we are truly desirous of creating a different Nigeria, not another Nigeria as such, but definitely a different Nigeria, because another Nigeria may mean that we're no longer the Nigeria that we are now, and that we are separated, for instance. But if we desire to create a different Nigeria, then we're still Nigeria, we're still in Nigeria, we're still Nigerians, but we're now recognizing that we're equal partners in this country called Nigeria. What is evolving today, which I want to very quickly point out, and I believe it involves some of the things that the lecture has addressed, is the issue of good governance. I saw where he highlighted the negativities of having a one-state party. In our lifetime, right now, today in Nigeria, this afternoon, we are seeing the evolution of a one-state party in Nigeria. That's very dangerous, in my own opinion and my little experience I have had over the years in Nigeria. It is very dangerous if we think it is all right for everybody to be in one party. That issue should be addressed by politicians, whether they are actively in politics today or they are no longer actively in politics. It's very serious that we try our best to stand up and say, no, we cannot have a one-state party pretending that it is all right to have a one-state party in Nigeria. The other aspect is where we are quietly accepting a situation where we are putting aside the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999 Constitution. As bad as some of us think and believe, and I'm one of those people that believe that we should have a brand new Constitution. But what we have today, before we get that, is a 99 Constitution. And I think putting it aside and allowing what is happening in Nigeria today to go on, I will use my state as an example. If I don't do that, I will not be fair to me, I will not be fair to my people, I won't be fair to Pa Ike Clark. It was one of the last fights that he was fighting before he died. What is happening in Rivers State should not happen in any state in Nigeria, not any state. If we allow it to happen and continue and end up in the way that I believe it is seemingly ending up, where one human being and a group of persons are having a final say on what happens in a state, that is very dangerous. If it's allowed to happen in Rivers State, it will go on in another state if we don't stop it. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm agreeing with your position and what you've presented, and agreeing that we must begin to solve the problem of Nigeria that has lingered from the civil war, from when we went to the meeting in the UK, when our fathers went to the meeting before independence, and the wrongs that independence has brought to us. We should correct those wrongs and create a new right that is right for Nigeria, that is right for Nigerians. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. And if you're not a Nigerian, you're very simply not a Nigerian. Thank you very much. If you